No, I'm not a writer.
Okay.
You ready?
Yep.
Are you positive?
Yes.
Yeah, you sure?
Yes.
You got all your ducks in a row?
I think so.
Then welcome back once again to another episode of Hear No Evil. There you go. I like it. Say it.
Hear No Evil. I want to be involved. No.
No, go ahead, Justin. Do our opening.
Oh, now you put me on the spot.
Yeah.
I'm not ready.
No, that's okay. I'm so used to it. Go ahead. You can do it.
And welcome to another episode of Hear No Evil podcast. I'm Justin McGill.
I'm Chris Copeland. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
No. Start over. Okay. Let's do it again. We're trying multiple formulas, so we got to try to get this down. I'm just so used to running the show. So go ahead. Let's do it.
All right. And welcome to another episode of Hear No Evil podcast. I'm Justin McGill.
And
with me is
I'm sorry.
Again.
You paused.
I need to stop doing that because I'm trying to think and I should.
That's okay.
I just need to say it. Don't think it. Overthink it.
So you're listening to Hear No Evil at this point. I think they've got that.
I think they got it.
We're good. It's all right. We were talking right before the show, and this is really bothering me. I got to throw this out there. For some reason, I've been thinking about this thing that I did when I was a kid, where I'd call into this phone line, where they would have like these choose your own adventure things. Like it would be like, if you want the guy to go down the haunted cavern, press 1. If you want him to run away, press 2.
Like a Telltale game or something like that.
Yeah, it's like it was like the first Telltale game. Yeah. And you kind of remembered it, but you couldn't
remember enough to know
what it was called. Yeah, and it was like a local thing. They had it in all the cities, but it was everywhere. Right, like in the mid 90s.
Yeah,
So if you remember this, go onto our Facebook or just hit us up on like Twitter, Instagram. That's Hear No Evil Pod, or just go to our website, hearnoevilpodcast.com, and in the upper right hand corner, they get all the links and all that good stuff. So
help us figure it out.
Yeah,
because we're gonna rack our brains not knowing what.
I know, or
we're too old to remember.
And I don't know why this has just been bothering me, but I really loved that as a kid. And now I was telling you, like the Echo, like through Amazon Echo, they'll actually do like a choose your own adventure kind of stuff. It's really fun. Cool. It's very fun. So we did that the other night at our friend Adrian's house, and I ended up doing it for like 45 minutes. And Ashley was like, "Turn that off. Nobody wants to hear that." I'm like, "Well, I do. I'm having fun over here." So
it's my Alexa, not yours.
That's right. And then she actually got me for Christmas. She got me an adult choose your own adventure book because I used to love those. Yeah, she got me, and it's like a zombie apocalypse. Choose your own adventures. So for all of us that
it's like, what do you say for your wife? The answer is always no.
Always no. No, always you run.
No. And yes, Ashley, you're hearing me say that.
Throw her in front of the zombie and run.
There's a human shield.
Somebody's got to save the kids. Somebody's got to help the kids. She's not going to be able to do it. Right. Love you, baby. My wife of 2 months. That might be the end of this.
Yeah, that'll be over.
That might. So, okay. So, as you know, we had recently done our brainstorming, and we now have a plethora of topics that we want to discuss.
I was just about to say plethora. We're in sync right now.
We are.
Except for the intro, we're in sync.
I like that. That's okay. As long as we sync up somewhere, that's all that matters here. And we did a couple weeks ago, we actually had our first request.
We did.
From a guest. So please do not be afraid to, email us or get on our website, however you can contact us. The request was actually about the Trump witches.
Right.
Which I really enjoy talking about.
I liked it. I liked that episode.
I like some of the darker topics.
Yeah.
But, this is the podcast, the Christian podcast, where we talk about the things Christians don't want to talk about.
The no-no subjects.
The no-no subjects. I like that. I like the way you phrase that. The no-no subjects.
The no-nos.
So we've got witches. We started out with Halloween, which I love that topic. Oh. I really do. I like that because I like Halloween and I'm a Christian. So sue me,
yep.
And so that's going to have to be like an annual big show for us.
Oh, yeah.
To do that.
We've got a lot of good plans too. We did a little brainstorm, a lot of fun stuff.
Oh yeah. But if there's something that you want us to talk about or you want to make a comment, feel free to reach out to us. We'll take everybody seriously. Everybody's got a voice. We want you to be part of the conversation. So this week, it's aliens.
They're out there. Are they? I don't think that's what we're talking about.
I feel like we need some X-Files music going on right now.
Oh, they're bringing that back again for another season. I'm excited about it.
Well, didn't they just make one?
Yeah, they brought it back for like 8 episodes or something like that.
And they're going to do another one?
Yeah. Well, people liked it.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. I should go see it. So I know I was upset when they brought back the miniseries of 24.
Yeah.
And then now they brought out 24 Legacy or whatever. But I mean, I started watching. It's not bad. I need Jack Bauer.
Yeah, you can't replace Kiefer.
I know. So Ashley wants a dog and I'm allergic. And I think if I make it through the battery of allergy testing and the shots, then I think if we get a dog, we're going to have to name him Jack Bauer. I mean, I think it's just, As
long as he's a Jack Russell Terrier, that's...
No, I'm thinking something else. We're thinking like a Great Dane. I want a Great Dane named Jack Bauer.
As long as it's not a poodle named Jack Bauer.
Oh man, a Great Dane or I don't know, a Mastiff or something like that. Yeah, there we go. Something lovable.
They ain't gonna mess with him then.
That would rip your leg off though if it didn't know you and you jumped over my back, my back fence. So aliens in the Bible, real, not real. Where are we on this?
Well, I mean, of course, I'm inclined to say that they're not real, which they're not. Sad to say, guys. Don't mean to burst your bubble.
Okay. So
but
you don't believe in aliens?
I don't believe in aliens.
Okay. All right.
I get entertained by the ones that, Hollywood or whatever brings out. And I've been to Roswell and I've seen I came home with a little inflatable green alien.
Really? See, and that's the thing. Like, we don't live far from Roswell.
We don't.
We're what, like 3.5 hours out or something?
Something like that.
I've never been. I want to go. I'm fascinated by just the whole.
It's very interesting.
Yeah. And I just want to go. And my wife's like, you don't want to go to Roswell? There's nothing in Roswell. I'm like, well, that's kind of the point. Maybe the aliens took them. There used to be cattle there at some point until they
took everything but the Ford dealership, evidently.
But I've seen pictures. It doesn't look like a bad little town. It's just a very small blip on the radar. Yeah. So, okay. But why don't you? Why don't you believe in aliens?
I mean, I don't know if it's just because I've been desensitized as growing up with these kind of far-fetched ideas of what aliens could be and how far away they are. And we haven't found any yet.
Right.
I mean, I'm a youngin, sorta, but I'm thinking from the time that I feel like man has always strived to see what else is out there just because we're curious by nature.
Right.
I would hope in hundreds of years we would have found something aside from a rock.
You would think so, but it's hard to get out there,
Yeah, but it's been since like the 60s now that we've gotten to the moon. So, I mean,
well, that's true. But I mean, so it's not.
I just feel like if it was really out there, we would have found it or they would have found us or something like that would have, it was meant to be.
Have you seen the alien movies we put out there? I mean, every time we get visited by aliens, we blow them up. Would you really want to show up and be like, hey, what's up, guys?
But maybe they're nice aliens. We don't know.
That's what I'm saying. Even the nice ones end up getting it
doesn't have to always be Mars attacks and all that kind of stuff.
I love that. Jack Nicholson. Oh my God. So you don't believe in aliens, or do you just not believe in alien life in general? Do you think that there's a chance that we will find like water and vegetation and things like that on other planets?
I'm always curious, why we're on Earth. I do get curious sometimes. So I want to know, we have this vast universe and we're finding these planets and stuff like that.
Right.
And the question is I always ask myself, why? Well, obviously I know why, because God created him that way. But I mean, what other purpose could he have maybe done with that? I mean, so sometimes I ask myself that. I don't have to really know that I don't want to know if there's,
you don't want to know
if there's Klingons out there, no? That's good. We know you keep over on your side of the territory. We'll stay over on our side. It's all good.
So it's the violent aliens that you're worried about.
No, okay.
Yeah. On my end, I'm not willing to put it outside of the realm of God, and what he could create. Now, do I believe we're going to be in contact with them? Do I believe they're like running around here or snatching people up for some kind of a probing special? No, I don't.
You had to go with the probe.
I did. I had to go there. But I don't think it's inconceivable to think that God in his infinite power might not have set up shop in a couple other places.
Yeah, but there's things that have been said in the Bible. I mean, I don't know. That's always what it's like I think about this, like if I think those things and then I look at the Bible, it's like, well, you can't think that way because this is not, this is how it is.
Okay. So give me an example.
So like, God created us in his image. Mm-hmm. So was he like, psych, I got the image wrong on y'all. So I created, multiple places. So I got it right,
But think of it this way. He has already set up shop in a couple of different places. He's got the angels.
Oh yeah.
And then he's got humans, which in the Bible, it differentiates ourselves. It said that the angels looked upon mankind and were jealous.
Oh yeah.
Because, and I don't know, that could have been a number of different things. Maybe one, because we actually had, I think a big part of it was because we had free will, which angels weren't created to, but even angels are a very alien form to us, you know? So I guess in that way you could say that you believe in aliens, but we're not talking that kind of alien.
No.
We're talking about like,
well, hold on. I got to say this. So I told my fiance that we were talking about aliens.
Oh no.
And she's like, so what aliens are we talking about? Like Mexican aliens?
Oh
I was
my
like,
God.
Calm down with that. No,
she gets a little slippy sometimes.
Does. She gets on the soapboxes. She's not a fan of Trump. Sorry guys.
Just because we're white?
Just because we're white. We talked about slavery last week and it must be our people. And now we're talking about aliens and she must be talking about immigrants.
We got Mexican wives.
Yeah.
And they're racist.
Sheesh. Gotta say that for our racist podcast.
That's right. I know. We just did that. We already did that, So, okay. So, all right. Now, that is an interesting point in the Bible that like in the English translations, it does use the word aliens, but it's not little green men aliens. We're literally talking about people from other countries that are coming. Yes, exactly. So if somebody's in this, it's actually a very common term in a lot of books. Like if somebody's in this country illegally, they would be considered an alien, because so if you read that in the Bible and you see the word alien, don't think Independence Day. Yeah. Don't think ET or anything like that. It just is from another country. But so I kind of think there could be a possibility. You're totally no. You're totally no on that.
I just think it would happen by now. Like, thinking, I don't know. So,
but you're thinking of it from a standpoint of being in contact with the aliens.
Right. I guess it's because like you've said in past podcasts, like, our generation is a generation that doesn't trust government and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So if I think to myself, we spent billions of dollars with NASA. I mean, I'm glad we got to the moon. I love that. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Did we?
That's true. It could have been a cover up. That flag didn't wave. No,
right.
I'm just saying it could have also been, we spent all this money on space, something. Mm-hmm. You're telling me we haven't gotten one, something out there. I just kind of, sometimes I always question it.
Yeah.
And the Roswell stuff, Area 51 cover-ups, I'm like, so it's just kind of,
that's true.
It goes back to that.
Now, there was this theory that when we were talking about this, that it kind of popped out there. And I was just thinking, like, who are we to say that God didn't create other planets? Right. Very similar to ours, very similar setup. And then Jesus was kind of making the rounds to each one to make sure that
making the rounds.
Sure, making the rounds.
Making the rounds as in.
So maybe he sacrificed himself on multiple planets. Then this is not an unheard of theory.
Okay, you have to explain the theory to me. Sorry.
So I guess the theory would be that God in his infinite wisdom didn't just have planet Earth. He had planet whatever over here, multiple Earths, and Jesus sacrificed himself on multiple planets.
He did it repeatedly.
So now I'm not saying that it's the best theory in the world, but yeah, why not? I mean, or maybe he sacrificed himself one time in one place on this planet, and it reached out to the others. But either way, you couldn't see that, like God having created other planets and having influence on those planets.
Maybe, I could maybe see he create other planets, other species, and have influence, but I don't know if I can get on board with the part where Jesus does the same act over and over and over and over again, like a traveling show.
Well,
I mean, that'd be a really crappy show. Come see the dying of Jesus every Friday and whatever on planet Earth 1, 2, 3, and 4.
I am not trying to belittle Jesus into a traveling carny.
I'm just saying,
but you never know.
Or like some colossal accident where he's not really, we took it
way off the deep end. But no, I mean, I'm just thinking outside of the box.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that there's any true logic to it or anything like that. Yeah. But I mean, because people look out into the universe and they go, there's so much out here. Yeah. It is infinite. It is constantly moving and constantly expanding. Something somewhere you would think there's gotta be. Why would we be this dot in the middle of everything? And maybe we are. And perhaps we are, especially since, like you said, there's no transmissions. We haven't seen anything. We send stuff out all the time. Yeah, you could have government cover-ups, but there are so many people that are deeply into this kind of thing as a hobby that they're constantly listening themselves into the heavens to see if they could find something would have popped up.
When I was doing some research for this more on the biblical side of it, I was looking at a website. It's called Answers in Genesis. It's like Genesis 1-1. It seems like a really cool site.
Yeah.
It's I take it more like a site for Christians. Like if you have questions, you can ask. They have like all these questions with answers already answered for you. Right. It's in really good detail. So I can look it up. I'll put a link up on when we put the podcast out. But
nice.
I was reading. It goes in great detail from like start to finish about in Genesis 1, God created earth,
the heavens and the earth,
and all that kind of good stuff that goes along with it. And one of the scriptures that kind of caught my eye was Psalm 115:16. It's God gave care of the earth to man, but left the heavens to the lords. So it kind of got me thinking, maybe we're not supposed to know.
I know you're absolutely right.
I know we always try to find out because we're curious by nature, but that's why we haven't found it.
Right.
Why no one's coming to us because it's not meant to be, or it's not the time to do it.
And this is why I don't totally go along with your theory of why haven't we heard them by now?
Right.
Because I think if there is something else out there, I think God has separated us so deeply that there is no way we could find ourselves, because otherwise we end up, if the Bible does say, hey, there are aliens out there, you are one of many, of my children, we lose focus. We already lose focus of God, right? For our own earthly desires, our own earthly ambitions. What if that was in the Bible? All of a sudden, our ambition is to get together globally and find these other people. I mean, we would have put way more into it than we would have by now.
Right.
Forget God. God's untouchable. Let's go find these other planets, that kind of thing. So if we saw that as totally true, as a totally truthful statement, yes, there are aliens out there. We would have already done it. It would have been a modern day Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
So we would have forgotten God. We would have been trying to become our own gods and trying to join these planets together in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
So I see that, but I really have a hard time just throwing it out as no aliens. I really do.
I mean, so what kind of, you really think that there are aliens like ET out there?
ET.
Oh, not that nice.
No. And what I'm thinking is it would actually, from my point of view, is if it's created by God, we're created in his image, I would think it would be another planet very similar to Earth with humanoid life on it.
Okay. So just use an example. When we talked about this earlier, so like in the alien movies, like Prometheus, like the engineers kind of, like they're larger versions of us, but they look human.
Yeah, that is kind of weird. That is kind of a weird theory if you're into the alien movies, and I like it.
I like them. Yeah,
I do. It's hard to say that because we try to separate ourselves from this all powerful God. You know what I'm saying? But the truth is that we're created in his image. So why would it not be that we go to heaven and we see something
we've never seen before?
No, similar to ourselves.
Yeah.
If we're created in his image, in the image, God said, let us create them in our image. He's talking to himself and he's talking to the angels too. So I don't think there's a big difference in the way that we look when we see them. I mean, we want to in our minds just think of God as this big glowing ball of light, and maybe he is, but on the other hand, maybe he's just a guy, he just happens to have all the power, and he happens
I think that he's just like a cool old dude with a long beard.
There you go.
I like sunglasses and flip flops and just,
Yeah, I like it. Beach bum with a sombrero. Yeah, why not? So, I mean, maybe we're on the edge of blasphemy, but maybe not, I mean, maybe he is just like, it's Morgan Freeman,
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, I knew you'd like that. Yeah.
When I die, I want to narrate my story.
Right. Oh, it's such a beautiful voice. But the truth is we're not that far off, and the Bible tells us that. So I would think that if we were looking at aliens on other planets, we're not talking about little green men, little ETs or the Independence Day, all the big, the tentacles or anything like that.
Xenomorphs. Hopefully not the xenomorphs.
Right. Now, if we did see something like that, first thing I would think, demons. That's what I think. I would think Satan's been let out of the dungeon. Something went horribly wrong, But I think God tends to make everything, in the same form. I remember reading or watching this movie one time, and they were talking about like what was this Kevin Spacey movie where he was an alien, and I remember that, and he was it was like an alien took over his body,
right?
And they were talking to him, but he was actually just like this guy in the psychiatric ward, so they just thought he was crazy. Mm-hmm. And he was like, yeah, well, they're like, well, what do you look like on your planet? And he's like, pretty much like this, I mean, like not exactly like this guy, but pretty much. And he's like, well, why wouldn't you look like something else? He's like, well, have you ever seen a soap bubble? And they're like, yeah. And they're like, well, it's just it is just the perfect configuration for its needs, so along those lines. So a soap bubble is a soap bubble, whether it's on Earth or it's on planet XZ9, so it's just, it's the same thing, same kind of concept.
Well, I mean, I could see that. One of the interesting things I was reading on the same website for this particular topic, there's a video of a professor or some lady talking about the subject, and she was talking about how we always get excited when we find what we think is life, like on Mars or somewhere. Mm-hmm. Like we find like a rock or water, or we found a rock. It's like we're like cavemen. It's like, for me, that's not exciting. We live in a flat desert, and I'm like, we got rocks out in my backyard.
West Texas,
your orange rock to my gray rock. Okay.
No hills to me. This is like alien life.
Right.
Mesquite trees. Right? Yeah. Okay.
All right. She's talking about how like, she mentions the verse Isaiah 45:18, God designed the earth for life. Okay. And she's saying how like we get so excited and curious because we find those things and we think we found life because we're finding matter, because bacteria can be considered life. Right. So yeah, we found water. Maybe there's bacteria in it, but is that necessarily considered, full blown? Right. Well, it's the building blocks of life. Yeah. Because she mentions like comets too, how like there's a protein or something found in comets, and we like, we consider that life. And it's just like, no, it's a protein. That's not life, Yeah. Well,
stuff that's like what they say. That's what a scientist would consider life, so I could see that, but then it lends itself to like these things like the comet lands, the comet, comes into the atmosphere, and next thing there's an alien life form in there that takes over a human being, It's, I guess like a fossilized thing, like preserved. Sure. Yeah. So I don't know. And I mean, there are certain things that are like kind of like pre-programmed into the human brain. Okay. One of them is concept of God. And it talks about that in the Bible. And it talks about like if you're an atheist, you're actually denying, like purposefully denying this very common, simple programming that has been put into you. And I think another very common, simple programming is this thought that maybe there's something out there, I mean, with all these planets and all these things, even if you're talking about thousands of years ago when we didn't have science, we didn't have exploration, we didn't, we didn't have the possible moon landing, that kind of thing. People were still looking up there like, what's out there? Right. Something's got to be out there. And maybe that's just part of that downloaded. We know there's something that created us out and he's got to be out there.
Yeah.
It's a good thing and it hurts at the same time because it's a great thing because it constantly keeps us wondering and reaching for that next level. But then on the other hand, it kind of takes us away from God in certain ways. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry?
I was going to say, I agree with you on that one because we keep striving. I feel in some ways like we keep striving to see what he supposedly has created, but he created us already and we already have. Right. Like, I feel like sometimes in some ways you look at like, we're not happy with what we have. So we want to go try to find something else.
Right. Oh, you never are.
Because I know, they talked about wanting to find another inhabitable planet, and maybe it's because I work for, an old company. Right. I think this way, but use and abuse. That's what we've done to our own planet in some way.
We're going to have to go somewhere sometime. Yeah.
It's like, oh, hey guys, we found your planet. That's great. So by the way, we're going to take this from you because, that kind of thing.
And what's funny is that like a lot of really good sci-fi movies out there are about aliens coming to our planet pretty much to take our crops and our water and, and that kind of thing. They ran out of resources. They're coming for our resources.
Right.
It's but the truth is our first instinct is what can we get off of these planets? It's kind of wild. I was actually reading this article about these companies trying to do, trying to find out ways to do mining expeditions on Mars because of some kind of mineral they found in one of the rocks that that came back. Was it the moon or Mars?
Mars.
Yeah. And but one of these minerals that could, pretty much make like a unobtainium kind of, material. And it's like, really, we get out there and our first instinct is corporate greed. You know what I'm saying?
Like the people I feel like they're pushing these things are just doing it for the wrong reasons.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, was that company's name Weyland-Yutani? Because then I'd be a little bit scared.
Right? No, I think it was Halliburton. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. No, but I mean, but we want to go out there. We want to see what's going on out there. Even when, was it Buzz Aldrin writes his book, and I don't know if it was true or not, but he was like alluding to the fact that the government was covering stuff up that they saw up there and things like that. I don't know if that's true.
Right.
I'm thinking it was more of I need to sell some books, kind of a thing, because he never went into detail about anything and He didn't get knocked off by anybody. The Men in Black didn't show up, maybe they did and they shut him up and he stopped talking about it. I don't know. But I don't know. There's got to be something. I would really hope that there was something more.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, what do you expect? The more part, like, what do you want there to be?
I don't know. I really don't. I mean, I can't put my finger on it. I mean, I don't want it to be probing. I know that. I mean, we've already done that. I don't want any of that. Please, God. Honestly, I mean, the truth
if
is,
you found a planet and it had, I don't know, it was breathable by us, but all it had was plants and just different species of plants that were not alive, but just, larger than life than we have here. Would you be disappointed?
No,
you would still be,
Oh, absolutely. I think that would be amazing because then it goes back to that. Could we repopulate there? Would you want to send a crew out there, of people to populate it? Because I mean, it's a one-way trip. If they're going, they're going. And they're staying, because it's that far out. But it probably is smart for us to try to find that kind of a planet, because we don't know how long God is, going to be holding out on us before Jesus comes back. Now, obviously, I think he's going to come back because it's Earth. Earth is the determined planet, but
it said in the Bible, it's going to create another heaven and earth.
That's true. There will be a second heaven and a second earth. So for all we know, it's already ready to go. hey, maybe we find it in advance and just be like, what's up?
I got my house.
Party.
First come, first serve.
I call dibs. Yep. No, actually, I bought this star a long time ago on, buyastar.com. This is my wife's. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I like the idea of it. And yes, in the Bible, straight out, it doesn't say yay or nay. It doesn't go there. They talk about, the heavens being used for navigation, this kind of thing, but I still refuse to admit that there's not something out there. I want to know. I really do. So do I think they're showing up? No. Do I think that, I really love, and I love radio. I love George Norrie. Amazing. You ever listen to George Norrie?
I don't think so.
I think the most popular show on the planet. I'm not even joking. Goes from midnight till 4 a.m. Top show around the world. People absolutely love George Norrie. He took over for a guy named Art Bell. Art Bell took over for, God, I forget what his name was, but they just talk about the supernatural and they talk about aliens and stuff like that. And they always have somebody on there that had some kind of alien sighting. All these guys that write books about different alien encounters and how aliens and the government and conspiracies like that. Love listening to it. Do I buy into it? Oh no, I don't buy into any of it, but it's fascinating. It's very fascinating.
So you would discredit the people that suppose they've had like abductions or probing or whatever you want to call it, or just contact?
Partially. I think part of them, a lot of them are just looking for attention. I think some of them believe that they had some kind of an encounter, whether it be because they took way too much acid or because maybe mentally not all there, or maybe they did experience something and it may, I tend to lend that to more of the spiritual side.
Right. Like you maybe misconstrued an alien encounter with a demonic encounter.
Sure. Absolutely. Because, I remember I'd have to look that up. There was something in the Bible that alluded to that. Like, if you're, talking about aliens and things like that, it's more demonic than it is, just some other friendly life form. So
the devil playing on your curiosity.
Yeah. But I see that. I believe that people open themselves up to that kind of thing. And I believe that people, a lot of times really believe that they saw something. So I don't want to just throw out somebody's story, Now, the story from the guy that it went through, you can deal with that on a case-by-case basis. But there are guys out there that make their living writing books about this kind of stuff. And you know why? It's because we love it.
We do.
We love to hear this.
I'm not gonna lie. I love alien movies, and I love just being curious about the what if.
Right.
It's always about the what if.
Oh, always. Cause that's why I said, I don't want to throw it out. Now, if aliens showed up, if they did show up,
you're like, Justin, I should have believed you.
Yeah, I know. Right. So if they did show up, I mean, you've got to be skeptical from the get go, because I'm thinking this is more of a demonic presence showing up. I'm thinking, okay, let's start reading Revelation again, right. I mean, because something is going on here. This is not God. God hasn't set us up for this. What do we do? But sure, the continuation of trying to find life on other planets, other inhabitable planets, possibly, like you said, like we talked about mining from these, vegetation rich planets. I mean, think of it this way. We've got billions of people on this planet. We've got twice as many people now than we did 20, 30 years ago. For sure. We're running out of food. I mean, there are ways to, we are going to run out of food. I mean, right now we have enough that we can sustain it, even to the point where the government's having farmers not grow food. If that makes any sense to you whatsoever. I mean, I know the logistics behind it to sustain certain cost levels for food. We could be feeding all these people in Haiti, in Africa, all over the world. I mean, we could be doing that. We're not, but we could be. But at some point in the not too distant future, I could see food becoming of a real scarcity. So if we did find another planet that had, vegetation on it, edible vegetation or seedable land, I could see that being
I guess when it comes to that kind of stuff, I feel like the way, and this is because I'm a geek at heart. Okay. I love technology, but I feel like some of the things you see like on movies, that I feel like that's not that far off in a tangible thing. Like think about like the military with those little food ration packet things.
Right,
like, you know,
right.
it's like a full meal in a bag and you add water, you know.
Right.
And it looks like a little cube, you know.
Oh, and they're not good, by the way.
Why not?
Oh,
But
they're
like,
not awful.
In time, you know, with the chef's touch, I feel like we could get there. You know?
Right? Yeah.
You know, so I feel like we could still find other ways, you know, even if we're not able to find on the planet.
We'll find other ways to sustain ourselves. Yeah. So this is like the Matrix, where it's just like the slop that's like just like nutrients and vitamins and minerals that the body needs.
As long as one tastes like chicken, one tastes like beef.
Yeah, is that it? As long as it comes with a ramen noodle packet, then Justin is good to go.
Sprinkle on top of it.
Oh my God. We're going to take a real quick break. Again, hit us up on hearnoevilpodcast.com. We will be back to figure out the laws.
What a choice of ramen we can come up with.
There you go. Of the universe right after this.
You're listening to Hear No Evil. Follow Chris and Justin on Twitter at Hear No Evil Pod. That's Hear No Evil POD.
And welcome back from our very short break. I am Chris Copeland.
I'm Justin McGill.
And you've been listening to Hear No Evil. We're talking about aliens. We talked a little bit about alien abduction, you know.
A little bit.
And, you know, I mean, like I said, I love George Norrie. I love hearing the alien stories. Do I really believe them? No, but they're entertaining.
Right.
Does the Bible talk about aliens? No. If you're reading the word alien, you're misinterpreting it. You're on the wrong boat. You know, get off now. We're talking about, if it says alien, we're talking about people from other countries that are in your land. But I think the jury's still out on this. I think we'll find out when God shows up. This is one of those questions. I have a list of questions that I have for God when I meet him. Okay.
How long is this list?
Oh, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I mean, but it's not too bad. But everybody has their list of things that it's like, I don't understand this. Though the universe has not unveiled this question for me. Scientists can't answer this question for me. Like one of them is in the Bible. It says that God always was and always will be, and we are restricted by time. That's we can't our minds can't think outside of it. Mm-hmm. Even our greatest minds, Albert Einstein and oh God, who's the gentleman in the wheelchair?
Oh, Stephen Hawking.
Thank you. Most of their theories are based around time. Right. They're so wrapped up in time, we can't get out of it. We can't not think about time as a constant. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So, but in the Bible, it says that time is nothing for God. So that's something that I need answered. And maybe once I die, we go to heaven, boom, this will be just knowledge that is downloaded to me like I am Neo in the Matrix, you know? So,
well, it's going to be really ironic if you go up there and it's some old black lady with shades on too.
I'm telling you, I will freak
I knew
out
it all along.
I will be so giddy. I will be dancing. I will just like you. I'll be doing the washing machine, be getting my little Selena dance on. Oh man. But yeah, so we got aliens. Are they real? Are they not? Could they be out there way out in the universe? We can't answer that for you. All we know is that the Bible does not really get into this. It does talk about heavenly forces, angels, demons, the difference between heaven and earth and good and evil, right. You know, and which is the reason why you love sci-fi and horror movies is because of the good and evil aspect. I do. And one that's actually coming out right now, you'll be pretty much be able to tell the timing of this by the movie is we've got a new Alien Covenant, yes. Right?
Alien Covenant.
So, and this is from a long line. I mean, you've got all the Alien movies, you've got Prometheus, which for my taste was I liked it. I thought it was a little long. They could have wrapped all this up in about a half an hour less, and I would have been a lot happier.
I liked it for what it was. I think it was just to get you thinking. Mm-hmm. It was trying to be different.
So, and the concept of that was that we were created by another humanoid.
Yeah, I think there's like scientists thought that maybe God didn't create us. maybe another species did.
Okay.
Based on, interactions with Earth supposedly and cave marking, all that kind of stuff. Okay. All that hoopla, same stuff here.
So just a very advanced species ends up creating another species very in their own image,
Yeah.
So it's not our God. It's not the God with the big hat and the flip flops that you're talking about before the break. That's sitting up there waiting for judgment. So which we're hoping is a very laid back type surfer kind of guy that will look over some of our indiscretions. Yeah, exactly. So, but I believe in God. I believe in God, the Father, the Holy Spirit. So I don't believe in being created
more advanced.
Yes. Now, I will say something that will throw a lot of people off. I do give some credibility to evolution, and I do not, and I have seen all the arguments. I took a lot of seminary courses. I was a youth pastor at one point. God, yes, could have just boom, Adam and Eve did right off the bat, oh, where am I? Who are you? Kind of thing. Or it is not unheard of for God, these things that God would kind of just start with a bang, and let it play its way out. And then once we became intelligent enough, go, all right, now we got something to work with.
So you're telling me he went like all bewitched about it, like twinked his nose and a person appeared?
No, that's what I'm saying. I said you could go either way with it, but I will lend myself to definitely a possibility of that God used evolution to create us. Let us come up, as it were.
Ooh, you make people mad.
I know. I'm going to be.
You're trying to play both sides.
I know. We were trying to get. Nobody's been. We had people listening, but nobody's been like on social media. A lot of people are listening, but nobody's been on social media or emailing us. So if you have a problem with my comment, get us on hearnoevilpodcast.com, Twitter, Instagram, Hear No Evil Pod, or get us on hearnoevilpodcast@gmail.com. And I didn't say that. I just thought it'd be funny. Let's just go ahead and give the information out so that they can yell at me now.
Right.
But I didn't say that to get knee-jerk reactions out of people. Why is that not a thing?
Because I feel like that's one of those topics that's always people are going to there's always those people that want to go against the grain. So you're going to have the evolutionists versus the creationists.
Right. And there is they have arguments like, well, you can't have both. You can't have it both ways.
Right.
But when you really look at it, at the theory about the logic that is about the debate logic, there's nothing that has been shown to me that says that God could not use evolution. What was going on with the dinosaurs? You saying God wasn't working back then? God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was a formless void before God came along.
Right.
Okay. So, and then something was going on with the dinosaurs and he left them around. God is God. He could have if he's popping Adam and Eve into existence out of nowhere, could have popped the dinosaurs out of existence, but he left them for us to find. And there's a reason, but I think it lends itself to that. Like I was talking about earlier, that there's certain programming downloaded into us. One is that, there is a God. He's out there somewhere.
Right.
We've got to find him. Another is to explore, to go beyond what we are. Like you were saying, people are never satisfied.
No, they're not.
They're not. And that's part of our basic programming. We're never satisfied. We work so hard. That's why older people will tell you, it's not about what you got. It's about the journey to get it.
Right.
Because once you've got it, you don't want it anymore and you move on. So, but we do have that basic programming. And one is what was going on with these creatures that were walking the planet? What was happening with them? And we take that and we find ways to use it to prove that God doesn't exist. Why aren't we using it the other way?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And there are some scientists out there, just nobody really, nobody's giving them funding. You know what I mean?
They're giving off the ancient aliens guy with the hair.
Right. So you're talking about this. You're talking about the Alien movie and just the concept of being created from another, from another being. I don't think that, I mean, like you said before, you don't believe in aliens. If we were created by another being, don't you think they would have shown up by now? Like, hey, what's up? I'm your dad.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. But like, I think, in the movie, they take it more as, and this is all just, I don't know if they really know this is what's going on. They just assume these are the people that maybe created because they look very similar to us.
Okay.
But I think what they think is they've like shunned us. Like they've come back multiple times to check on us, but they're not happy with us, or they're not.
Okay, you're talking about in the movie.
In the movie.
Okay.
In the movie.
Okay, so they're not happy with our evolution.
Yeah,
as it were.
They're not happy, so like they've just kind of moved on and.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I never quite like, I've gone back and I watched a couple of them, but I guess I missed one in the middle. So the alien, like the evil alien that comes out, why does he look so much different from the guy that planted the genetics?
Well, that's what we're trying to find out. That's what the new movie Alien Covenant is supposed to. They're supposed to be these prequels that kind of bridge the gap from Prometheus to the 1979 one with Sigourney Weaver.
So where does Alien versus Predator come into this mix?
That has already been. That is like the X-Men 3 of movies. It's been written out of the equation already.
This is the Freddy versus Jason of Hollywood alien movies. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So we're not. This isn't where they're ancient species that were hunted for game.
Right.
This isn't that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we digress. So if you're thinking about it on a basis of a one intelligent being creating another, okay, there have been, and this is something I want to get into a little bit more on another show, but there have been, there are stories where a lot of scientists are doing kind of the mad scientist, the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, or the Frankenstein is what I'm thinking. Yes. And there was one article I was reading recently about this guy, and I believe it was in Russia, and this is where they're always doing this stuff. Like in Russia, they're trying to do the first head transplant. You ever seen that?
Right.
So, or body transplant, however you want to call it, which would freak me out. But another one was this guy that was trying to grow human organs inside of pigs.
Yeah.
And so we were having to genetically. Now, again, I do want to get into this more. We don't have a lot of time, but. That kind of freaks me out, the concept, because why they're trying to stop his funding and is because potentially what he's doing is he's fusing genetics between humans and pigs. And what they're worried about is that there's going to be like the Seinfeld pig man is going to go running around out there. And they're like, well, what do you care? Well, what happens if he
is successful and
has sex with somebody, and he breeds and we start having little pig men everywhere. Now it's
far-fetched. Yeah.
It is far-fetched, but this is something very real.
Right.
And the scientific community has actually started coming out going, we need to stop this because this is a possibility. So where do you take it from that end? Does that make us creators?
I think it does. I mean, because in other instances where we're using that same kind of scientific skill, if you will,
right,
for other reasons that would benefit us, like growing ears on mice and stuff like that, trying to test that kind of stuff out to see if we can, I mean, we're not reptiles. You can't cut off we have tails, but you can't cut off a limb and we grow it back or something like that.
Right.
Have that capability. So, if we can find ways to grow man-made organs or limbs, I could see that, benefit. But there's always that one person that just kind of takes it too far. They get, like we're talking about corporate greed. They take it a little bit too greedy. They're like, what? I could play God. Let's do this.
That's true.
That's what it is.
And I think it does lend itself to the scientists themselves. I mean, they want to do that. They want to do something nobody else has done.
Right.
But here's how I kind of see that. Yes, you're creating, but the truth is, what created you? You're taking already created objects and you're kind of fusing them together,
right?
So you're kind of like playing Sid from Toy Story, and you're just taking all of these
shaved Barbie head on the
exactly
one leg with little
but you're just mixing the ingredients essentially. Is okay, let's take this pig and this human and let's see what comes out in the end, so but the truth is you didn't really create anything. Just like in these movies, what created them? At some point you have to get back to ground zero.
But I think the reason why I could see the reasons behind it being wrong is just because it's maybe not meant to be.
Right.
I mean, if you would think about it, the same thing with aliens. We haven't seen them thus far.
Right.
If there were supposed to be man pigs on this earth, we would have already seen him by now.
Already seen him. So I don't know if one day we see a man pig, you'll be eating those words. If you're like sitting at a bus stop and there's a man pig there, you know, like
oinking its way down the street, I'm like, oh,
exactly. So, well, yeah. So I mean, as
now if one flies.
No, one flies.
I'm gonna start changing that.
Now,
when man pigs fly, I'm gonna start saying that.
When man pigs fly. So not man pigs, but when they fly.
And I'm on an airplane, I see a man pig fly next to me in a seat. I'm like, oh man, Chris was right.
This is some serious issues. But yeah. So if I'm right, then something is, oh man. Then I'm just gonna start like lining people up outside. I'm gonna be the one taking money for, to read fortunes and stuff like that. Yeah. If that comes to fruition, then I'll be like, I have a gift. But it's just the concept. It's the concept of creating life. But the truth is, at the end of the day, we're not creating anything. We're just putting it in a blender and seeing what comes out on the other side. And that's what makes it really dangerous.
And I think I was talking about like they in the new movie that's out, they kind of touch on this subject. David is a robot, if you will. He's an android. He looks like us, but he's not a human. He's a robot. But he has like this God complex that he's kind of gotten because a human created him, and he's not satisfied with the way he is.
What he is,
So he wants to create other things, and so he finds a byproduct of the people that supposedly created us.
Okay.
And he starts messing around with it, and he starts making.
So he finds like the original genetic material.
Supposedly. Okay. That's what supposedly, is Ridley Scott supposedly making us believe.
Okay.
And that's how we end up with the.
Now, again, this is all fiction.
This is all
Ridley
fiction.
Scott.
We're just all talking, but it has some parallels to what,
Right. I love my sci-fi movies.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to go watch this.
But,
how I am on what I am about aliens. So, yeah.
There's like, if you ever, when we're talking about, you can watch the trailers online, but I think like towards the climactic end of one of the trailers, there's an alien trying to break in through a ship, and he's hammering his head on the glass. But if you notice, his head looks a lot like, it doesn't have the same features as like the aliens we know from like the 70s and 80s.
Right.
I feel like he has more humanized looks, and like his bone structure is not.
He's still got that long neck and big head and everything.
But his face is not, it's not as animalistic, if you will. Like I've just noticed some characteristics, like his mouth is more like a full set of teeth like we would have, and his limbs are more like he has hands. He doesn't have, webbed, there's just things I've noticed.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm thinking David is trying to wipe out humanity or his creators or something. So,
or he's just trying to create the perfect species that he feels.
Otherwise, he
makes him whole.
Got a little too much pig in there. Is what happened. And
he's just trying to create the man pig.
Is that what it is?
He doesn't know if he goes back to Earth and goes to that Russian guy.
Oh my goodness!
They can just be buddies about it.
So, we're gonna have to wrap it up here, but let's say, just for grins on our way out, okay? We didn't learn anything today.
We didn't.
We learned absolutely nothing. So, which is okay. Which is okay. We know that we don't want any man pigs.
We don't want any man pigs.
Definitely not with wings.
No.
So, but just to wrap it up, if you were willing to admit that maybe just get outside of your own mind for one moment. Okay. Let's say aliens showed up tomorrow. Okay. They showed up. They started, you see motherships popping up. Okay. What do you think? Good or evil?
Can you describe the ship to me?
No, I can't. Can you describe the ship to me? What was the alien wearing? Was he green or brown?
Is it a square ship like the Borg?
I'm saying. Are you asking if it's a bird of prey that showed up on our front lawn? Okay, I'm thinking like I don't know, like even like just big flying saucers. Big flying saucers showed up. So, and all of a sudden, what's your first instinct? Are they good or evil?
I would say evil.
You think evil?
If it ain't a blue TARDIS, ain't nothing I'm gonna want to be curious about.
Oh my god! All right, so yeah, okay, yeah, I'm going with you on that too. If they just popped up tomorrow and just started showing up all over, I'm thinking they're here to take us out.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's the consensus. All right, I think we can end the show on that. I think
we actually agreed.
Agreed on something. Yes. All right. Well, join us next week on Hear No Evil, where we will not agree on anything probably ever again. And you guys, God bless. Have a good night. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
This has been a Hear No Evil production. Thank you and good night.